One of the world's busiest tourist spots, Times Square here in New York City. It's an unlikely location for a highly secure facility that monitors foreign governments' attempts to destabilise democracy. But that's precisely what's going on in an office building that way. Away from the crowds and traffic, we've gained exclusive access to MTAC, the Microsoft Threat Analysis Center. The work that's carried out here is extremely sensitive. We're the very first people that have been permitted to film inside.
Take a look now at an actor founded by former employees of the Russian Ministry of Defense. Individuals from this organization serve on a special presidential committee in the Kremlin advising Putin on Russia's war in Ukraine.
Analysts here advise governments like the UK and US, as well as private companies, about a variety of digital threats.
They're known as MTAC. Its job is to detect and assess and disrupt any sort of influence threats, we would say, cyber-enabled influence threats to democracies worldwide.
Specialist teams here focus on different potential perpetrators of digital threats. They call the people behind these disruptions threat actors.
We have a Russia analysis team, an Iran team, and a China team to try and detect everything from propaganda to disinformation. For Russia, it's always a constant. They see political warfare as part and parcel of their foreign policy objectives worldwide. So we've seen them continue their campaigns with disinformation outlets we've tracked.
The US Department of Justice recently announced it had seized 32 websites tied to a Kremlin-aligned online influence campaign. Dubbed Doppelganger, it uses AI-generated content targeting US elections, the war in Ukraine, as well as spreading pro-Russian narratives. The FBI had this to say about Doppelganger.
By seizing these websites, the FBI is making clear to the world what they are: Russian attempts to interfere in our elections and influence our society.
Doppelganger is best known for cloning the websites of well-known international media. It makes fake versions of Fox News, the Washington Post, which look very much like the original but are reworked entirely with pro-Russian propaganda.
So you've got some examples up on your screen here. This one here, this is an article which says it's from Fox News, but is in fact an article which is from this group called Doppelganger.
This was in fact made in Moscow.
Iran has just entered the fold in recent months. 4 years ago in 2020, we saw them come in very late, using both cyber attacks and influence operations to try and cause chaos.
This is one of the newer sites the Iranians have stood up as part of a set of inauthentic news sites. Fake social media accounts retweet and support them. They're focused on stories that are anti-Saudi, anti-Israeli, anti-American, and those are often telltale signs that something is potentially Iranian-run.
In China, in previous cycles, we saw almost nothing from China, but in this case, we do see them establishing social media accounts and websites which they use to provoke some sort of conversations with American voters. And this is the first cycle where we've had all three that we can definitely point to.
And the dramatic nature of the US election has created complications for those attempting to interfere with the process.
The biggest impact of the switch of President Biden for Vice President Harris has been it's really thrown the Russians so far off their game. They had focused everything really on President Biden. Going back to 2018-19, they really focused on Biden as somebody they needed to remove from office to get what they wanted in Ukraine. Today, that has changed almost entirely.
But what is the real-world effect of these digital threats? Henry Ida is an expert on AI, deepfakes, and synthetic media.
The jury is still kind of out on how effective these campaigns are, at least right now. But what it might be doing is really increasing the amount of hostile engagement on social media. But at this moment in time, we don't have the evidence to prove that it's actually swinging elections.
While it's debatable these digital efforts influence election results, with 7 weeks of campaigning left, there's plenty of time for online surprises to emerge.
That was Mark in New York.
Now let's head back to Italy, to Lake Como, to the E1 World Electric Powerboat Series.
Now, can anyone spot Alistair?
There he is.
Right now, we're on the gentle, tranquil waters of Lake Como, but all of that is about to be disturbed because it's race day.
And who better to explain to us how this competition works than some of the drivers themselves.
E1 is a brand new racing concept. It's foiling boats with an electric motor in a format that's never been done before.
The course here is basically a big figure of 8, but it's a little bit more complicated with the long lap and the stars and things like that.
So you'll see a series of single point turns and then turns that have larger apexes.
We're racing in some really spectacular locations, on the sea, in lakes, and we're really trying to push the foiling technology to the max.
So every team has a male and a female pilot, and it's up to the team to decide which pilot will go first. After the first race, they'll alternate from there.
Qualifying's done in a single boat format, so we're all about maximising our 1 lap time. And then we go into the semi-finals and the finals, which is head-to-head racing.
The stage has been set. 5 teams are in the final, but who will win? There's only one way to find out.
Definitely in E1, the most challenging part is the starts. Getting those right can really affect the race.
You want to get in the clean water at the front, because as soon as you're behind, you're in the wake of the other boats, and those waves can really interrupt how the foil performs.
Tell when you're having a really good lap because the racebird has this kind of hum to it when you're really cooking and flying, and it's really unlike anything. It's unlike any boat, any jet ski, any watercraft.
The course is a very simple loop, but those green buoys mark an extra special part of the track, and the teams have to choose very wisely when to take that turn.
You have to take the long lap 1 lap during the race.
You can win and lose races with long laps. If you're at the back, you can do it early and then try to catch the gap back, and you've got some cleaner water in front. If you're at the front, you want to do it last so that you can try to build the gap to the others. So it's a big tactical strategy.
If you nail the timing, depending on where you're at in the pack, you can either pass other pilots or you can stay out in front. So a lot of it has to do with team strategy. The team in the tower is watching where the other boats are at, and they'll help you with your timing.
It's a very much a tactical team thing that we make up as we go. There's no set plan, and it completely depends on where we are during the race, and yeah, it can change in a matter of minutes.
At the end of the day, you know, the teams really have to work together. Both pilots have to be consistent. You know, one pilot can be really fast. If the other one is slower, then it may come down to the wire. So having 2 very consistent pilots that can work together is how you're really going to win.
Let's pop that champagne!
This is a competition that has attracted some big name investors, despite only being in its first year. But there are challenges ahead. Can it keep those celebrity backers? And can it build a big audience for this high-tech racing?
I think the groundwork for this championship is amazing. You know, the names behind it now are incredible. I've heard some good rumours of teams coming in for next year as well. So I think the format is really exciting. I think a lot of people are really interested and excited about the new technology and also the sustainability message behind the championship. So I hope it continues for many years to come.
That's all for this week from the waters of Lake Como.
Nice work if you can get it.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. And there's more from the Click team at bbc.com/click.